Recently, I finished watching all of the Ip Man movies, and I gotta say, they are awesome. Based off the Wing Chun master who is also known as Yip Man and teacher of Bruce Lee, the movies pay homage to his life and livelihood, giving admiration and respect to one of the greatest martial artists to ever live. So today I wanted to talk about these movies, tell you a little bit about them, and explain why they're so great. I won't go into specific detail about each film individually, just a discussion about the movies overall for the most part, as they're all excellent in their own right. So without further ado, here's why the Ip Man movies are awesome. The first thing I have to talk about is the fight choreography. In my last video, I compared this movie's fight scenes to Civil War and Winter Soldier, explaining how the excessive amount of cuts in those films bogged down the action compared to Ip Man's clear, fleshed out shots. But in these movies, all the things I said in that video about what make fight choreography good apply to all of the Ip Man films to some degree. The attire allows for the actors to easily move from sequence to sequence. Each fight tells their own distinct story. The only one that really doesn't apply is location, but that's not an issue, as the skills of the actors negate the necessity to have the fight take place in a unique location. They can just have the fight take place in an official sparring ring, and it's still a blast to watch. And that's another positive of the choreography, the skill of the actors. Every significant actor who fights in this movie is a legitimate martial artist, providing more authenticity and realism to the scenes. I mean, they're not all going to be down to earth. There's a few times where they'll use wires or some other kind of effect and exaggerate the impact of the punches to give certain moves more of an oomph to them, you know? Because it is a movie after all. Each fight is done really well though, so well that you could pick any fight from any of the movies, say it's the best, and I'd be hard pressed to disagree with you. Moving away from choreography, the next point I want to talk about is Ip Man himself. In these movies, Ip Man is played by Donnie Yen, and he is simply put perfect in this role. I believe his character perfectly reflects the morals of martial arts in real life, to use only for defense and never abuse what you have learned. In these movies, Ip Man is portrayed as this kind-hearted, generous individual who loves his family and really wants nothing more than to live happily, but if you cross him or meddle with his life in any way, he will mess you up. And his body language reflects this. In a more or less friendly bout, his expression is calm, yet filled with determination to win. But against someone who mocked his way of life or hurt someone he cares about, his face shows aggression and anger towards his opponent. Even when he's not fighting, he's always calm and speaks softly, never berating or insulting anyone, even to people who do the same. I believe his personality is also a poetic reflection of his fighting style. Wing Chun was always billed in the movies as being both an offensive and defensive fighting style, which is exactly what Ip Man in the movies is. A man who could break all your ribs, crush your windpipe, and tie you into a pretzel if he wanted to, but doesn't because he knows that's not how martial arts, and by association, Wing Chun, should be used. Now, great choreography, great lead, but what about the other aspects of the film? You know, other characters, the actual stories, well, they're great too. When it comes to other characters, the villains are some that really shine through. They do an excellent job of making you hate these people. Spoiler warnings coming up if you haven't seen these movies. Take Ip Man 2 for example. The villain is this boxer who claims that martial arts is useless compared to boxing and challenges a local master to a fight, whereupon the boxer kills the guy in the ring, which is a great way to set up a villain. Before, you'd just be thinking, wow, this guy's a total douchebag, but after, you want nothing more than to see him get what he deserves. I also love the story progression from film to film when it comes to the fights. In the first movie, Ip Man is basically indestructible. Even the main villain barely posed a threat to him when they fought. But with each film, the fights become more and more of a challenge for Ip Man, and it's really cool to see that kind of development where his age is starting to show, but he's still fully capable of protecting himself. While the stories are very simplistic, they don't need to do more than they already do. Sometimes all you need in a movie is a hero, a villain, and tons of fun scenes and emotional moments to keep the viewer invested. And these films do that extremely well. When I watched the ending of the fourth and final movie, I got a little choked up. More spoilers incoming in case you haven't seen them. You watch Ip Man go through so much. He loses his friends, fellow masters, his wife, he gets cancer, but he still pushes through all of it, and it's emotional and inspiring to watch. In conclusion, the Ip Man movies are really good, with fun and impressive fight scenes, feel-good moments, and excellent protagonists and cruel, heartless villains for him to take down in a climactic finale. These movies do the life and legacy of Ip Man justice and give him the respect and admiration he deserves, even if he didn't actually fight Mike Tyson. And that was why the Ip Man movies are awesome. And with that all said, I'm Easily Easy, and I'll see you next time.